Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. Excited to get another year started. It's amazing how fast 10 seasons have come upon us. I can remember my opening day press conference down in the lobby of Cardinal Arena and how bad that was, God forbid. I can remember sitting there with Matt Andrews and Jim Kelch on the radio the next day. And we laugh about it now, but they were like, boy, we could barely keep you on the air. It was not good for radio. But I appreciate what this program has become. I appreciate all those that came before me as coach and the foundation that they'd built. And now we're continuing to build things and really, really excited about this upcoming season. Our players have worked extremely hard. We've improved. Our returning players have gotten better. Our incoming players, freshman and fifth-year senior Taylor Johnson, have competed and pushed our returners. And there's no question we have had some of the best and most spirited practices we've had since I've been here, because there's so much competition and depth that nobody can feel real good about, hey, I'm a guaranteed starter, I'm playing 25, 30 minutes a game. There's competition every single day, and how you perform in practice, and then obviously what you get done in the game will determine how much playing time you're going to get. So it's a good problem to have for me. The players are excited about it, and we're just really looking forward to get this 2016-2017 season started. Any questions from anybody?
Jeff, what has Taylor Johnson brought to your team?
Well, she's given us some stability at the point guard right now. Erica Carter's not been able to practice yet. Still coming off of a injury that's been kind of lingering all summer, all fall. She is feeling much, much better right now. We'll probably start to get out on the court here in the next few days, we're hoping. And then hopefully by our scrimmage against Lindsey Wilson, our exhibition game, she'll be able to see some minutes in that. And then hopefully gradually continue on from there. So Taylor has allowed us to go really slow in Erica's rehab. And then she brings experience. I mean, it's one thing, we have some very talented freshmen, but they're freshmen. Now we've got a fifth-year player who's played in big games, played against some very, very good opponents, and she's seasoned. And that's a big plus, especially at the point guard spot.
Asia came in last year with so much hype just because where she was in the recruiting rankings, but she started the year, she wasn't healthy. Have you seen a different player kind of start her sophomore year? Yeah,
she looks a lot better on the floor right now, both offensively and defensively. I'm still trying to challenge her to become mentally tougher. I want her to take over games. I'm always having to tell her to shoot. No coach ever had to tell me to shoot, ever. And that's what I'm trying to get her to that point where I want to tell her, stop shooting. But it's never happened yet. She works harder than anybody on the team. She spends more hours in the gym working on her game, perfecting her craft. But then it's like she's timid to just go out there and play. And that's the mental side of the game that I'm trying to get her to change, because I want her to take over. Her teammates know that she works on her game as much as she does. So they're looking for it too, because they know she can do it.
With the expectations of the high rankings, I know you don't worry about them early in the year. It's nice to have them. What kind of goals have you guys set out for yourselves?
Well, expectations are a great thing. It shows you that you're building a program, putting a product on the floor that people are expecting big things from. From a coaching side of it, you'd much rather have high expectations than low, because if you have low, that means you're probably not going to have a job very long. So we like the expectations. We're embracing them. For us, we know it's a process. We're embracing the process. It's day by day. We learn, I think we learned firsthand from that DePaul game. We knew they were very talented. It's not like we overlooked them. by no means. Doug has had fantastic teams. We had battles for years when we were in the Big East together. So it wasn't anything surprising, but I think our kids do have a whole new appreciation of you have to play for 40 minutes. And that's what we're working on right now. We're working on the process of putting 40 minutes of basketball together.
What are your expectations for Maisha Hines-Allen?
Well, I'm wanting her to start off the year better. Last year she was extremely slow, and the fact of I'm not sure she really understood how hard it was going to be without those 5 seniors. We had graduated the year before, Maisha Hines-Allen, Sharon Vales, Sarah Hammond, kids that really covered up a lot for them as freshmen. All they had to do was score. Then all of a sudden you get thrown into it as a sophomore, you don't have those seniors, and you've got to play at both ends of the floor. So that's my challenge to her. And then as the year progressed, she started to do that. But right now, as preseason player of the year, there are expectations. And it's not to just show up and play certain games. You have to come out and be prepared to play the entire season from day one. And that's what I've challenged her to, is to make sure she's ready to go as soon as we start.
Having your starting 5 returning with, instead, Erica might be out, but do you think that they feel comfortable with each other, or is the competition kind of uprooting that a little bit?
No, there's nothing to do with uprooting anything. I'm not sure who's going to start. It's all open. All 5 spots are open every year. You have to come out and earn it. I have a lot of people that have said, hey, you've got 13 of 14. How are you going to decide who to play? I don't decide who plays. They decide who plays. It's real simple. If you perform, you play. If you don't, you don't. We stat every practice. We stat every scrimmage that we have. And as I like to say, stats don't lie. Now, there are things that you have to look at. We had a scrimmage on Sunday. Brianna Jackson probably played the best that I've seen her play in the year and a half that she's been here with us. And she was 0 for 2 from the field. But handled the basketball, distributed the ball, defensively was everywhere. So there's a lot of intangibles that go along with that stats aren't going to sit there and just show. But for the most part, it's not too hard to sit down with players and say, hey, look, here's what happens when you're on the floor. Because the one thing I am a big believer in is just simple plus minus. When you're in the game, are we plus on the scoreboard or are we minus? I don't care if you score 18 points. If we're negative 20, well, we lose by 2. So what are you getting done when you're in the game? That's what's important to me. And what are we getting done as a team? So we're going to have some challenges. There's no question about it. And we're going to have some players that possibly did start last year that are willing to come off the bench. And as I tell them, you can only start 5 players. When it comes down to it, in a tight game, are you on the floor at the end? Because that's all I'd want as a player, and that's what I've tried to explain to these kids. If you're more concerned about just having your name called as the game starts, instead of being out there with 3 minutes to go in a 2-point game, you're playing for the wrong coach and you're playing in the wrong program.
Mariah at the end of last year kind of talked about she was disappointed, I guess, in her whole year. It's tough. You mentioned with Maisha, it's tough when you have a great freshman year to come back. What have you seen in the offseason, and how is she growing?
Well, mentality-wise, her mental approach is changing, and that's what we had to have. In our scrimmage on Sunday, she missed her first 4 shots. And last year, if she had done that, she would have checked out. It would have been poor, pitiful me, frustrated, upset, my shot's not going in. Well, I kept her on the floor to see how she would handle it, and she continued to compete. She defended. She rebounded. She looked to make the extra pass. So instead of getting frustrated that she wasn't scoring, she was more concerned about what are we doing as a team. And I told her afterwards, I was extremely pleased, extremely proud of her to show that growth, show that maturity. And that's what's going to separate her game, because she can do so much for us. She's the best post passer that we have. And because she can shoot the ball as well as she does, you have to respect that. So even if it's not going in, teams are still going to contest shots. And all she has to do then is a shot fake and, one, two dribble pull up or get the ball in the post.
Bringing in 2 6'4" freshmen, what do you expect from those two?
Well, I expect them to play. It's not size. Everybody's been saying this for 10 years now. You got to get big, kids. You got to get big. If they're big and bad, they're still bad. It's my favorite line. We have played a ton of teams with 6'5" players that aren't any good. So we're very picky. We have been trying to recruit post players 6'4", 6'5" for 10 years, but there's not 50 of them out there. It's not like a 5'8" guard. So we've been very selective, very fortunate to been able to sign Sierra and Kylie, and both of them are very skilled. Both of them will make significant impacts for our program. Now, they're freshmen, so you're going to have your ups and downs, but they move extremely well. Hand-eye coordination is outstanding. Their understanding of the game is very good. So we right now will have very good depth in the post. And Courtney Walton has benefited tremendously because she's now going against 6'4", 6'5" every day in practice. She's finishing extremely well around the basket because of that.
What do you expect from the other newcomers?
Jazz is she has a chance. For Jazz right now, it's really going to be how she handles her conditioning level. When she gets tired, she struggles. So now she has to fight through that. We have to get her to a point where when she gets fatigued, she can fight through it and get to that next level. But she's extremely explosive, athletic, can do things that we haven't been able to do here in the past in 4 or 5 years. So I expect her to come in and be able to compete for us. Sydney, she was out for most of the summer with a stress reaction in her foot, so she really didn't get to do a lot this summer. And then she's had some nagging injuries this fall. But we have to get her in the gym to knock down shots. That's the reason we recruited her. She's a great shooter. Right now, she's just struggling with that. So we've got to get her confidence back up. And then when she can knock down shots, when teams zone us, she'll be able to come in and be an impact for her, for us. Bianca Dunham, extremely talented, raw, probably the best athlete that we have on the team. She's one. It's been fun to watch because she didn't start playing until her freshman sophomore year in high school, and to see the growth that she's had in about 2.5 months is scary. So it's going to come down to see how she continues to develop, adjust to the college game, and then Jess has been doing well. As a walk-on, I've been throwing her out there. She's been competing with all of our returning players. I think she's adjusting to the college game as well. But I would expect to see her to play some. I consider to be very close to what Shelby Harper did for us for 4 years. A spark plug comes in, not really going to do anything wrong, not going to score 20, but I think can give us some minutes when we have some foul trouble, some injuries, things of that nature.
With Breonna Jackson, what kind of role do you envision for her? And I guess maybe the question is, where do you feel like she's going to step up this year?
Well, I've really been impressed with how she's been handling the basketball for us. I've put her at the point guard spot for the past 2 weeks, and she's really done a fantastic job of getting people open shots, getting the ball in the right areas. She understands the offense. She understands, if someone's made 2 shots in a row, to get that person a third shot. For her, it's going to be consistency. She had some fantastic games a year ago, and then she had some games where she just existed. She cannot base everything off of makes and misses. because she can change a game at the defensive end of the floor as fast as anybody on this ball club. So for me, we have to see that her offensive game is not going to affect what she gets done for us defensively and her ability to run the team.
Do you feel like she might have tried too hard at times? Right?
Well, the kid wants to win. So when things got tough for her, she wanted to try to pick it up and carry it. And that's one thing that I've talked with all of our players about. We have too many good players. Nobody has to carry us. If you're taking a contested shot, it's probably a bad shot because somebody's open, and we have enough good players to not have to take a contested shot. I used to joke with Angel the two years that I coached her. I said, a contested shot for Angel was better than some of our other players that had open shots. But we didn't have the overall talent then that we have now. This is by far the deepest team that we've had. It could be one of the most talented teams that we've had. Now, with that being said, we don't have Angel. The kid's a top 10 player in the world. 3-time All-American. But top to bottom, I'm very, very excited about the depth and talent that we have.
Jeff, when you have a bunch of talented freshmen, does a coach have to have a certain level of patience? And if so, is that sometimes hard?
I have no patience. So some other coach might. But, my whole thing with all of them is I don't expect them to make every shot, but I expect them to go hard. Mistakes are part of the game, but lack of effort is not. Lack of communication, talking is not. So do I have patience for if someone's not shooting the ball well? Someone might, go and pick up the wrong player on defense. I have patience for that. But if you're not competing and going hard, no, I don't have patience. And then I'm not fun to be around.
What have you seen from the returners in terms of them trying to kind of step up and be role models for the freshmen?
Well, Courtney Walton especially, I think she's been great for our post players. This is her 5th year. Brianna Jackson's a 5th-year player. Taylor Johnson's a 5th-year player. We have a lot of experience that our freshmen are able to lean on and ask questions to. And they've been doing a great job. It's a great group to coach, a great group of young women. I'm excited to coach the team. I don't have problems. They're college kids, so we all, whatever. We all did some good things in college and had fun, but I don't worry about them. They know right from wrong, and they represent our athletic department, our university, our city, extremely well, because they understand what comes along with being a part of the University of Louisville women's basketball program. And that's expectations, not just how you play, but how you act.
ACC Media Days in Charlotte, North Carolina. What did you see down there? What did you come away with?
You know what? Pretty much the same thing. Just like we always have. It's a quick half a day. It's more so of a chance for us to get out and tell everybody about our program. Half the team's there in the morning. We left at 2 o'clock, and then the next half comes in the afternoon. Very excited about the depth of our league. I think there's going to be some spirited games, competitive games. There's really nobody that you can just chalk up as a win. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun year.
How much did the trip to Cuba help, and are you seeing the dividends paying off on that?
Oh yeah, there's no question about that. The 10 days of practice that we're allowed before we take that trip, I can't even put a value on that. Especially for our freshmen, we're so much further along right now than we were last year at this point. Especially for our freshmen, we're not having to go 3.5-4 hours. We're practicing 2:20. So the kids aren't as tired right now. They're able to get in and do extra ball handling, shooting, more skill work than we were able to last year. And then in the terms of basketball, we played 3 games. So they're experienced with that and played a very good Cuban national team that was very physical. So everything was a win-win for us on that trip.
Could you plan, with the schedule, you've got that 4-game stretch with Maryland, South Carolina, Kentucky, and I guess
Western
Kentucky. That's a pretty challenging stretch early in the season. What kind of benefits do you really see from that and with this team?
Well, we're fortunate to have 3 of those 4 at home, 1 on a neutral site. But it's going to be very, very competitive basketball games. There's no question about that. It's one of those, if you win all 4, you can't just assume you're going to a Final Four. You go 3-1, that's great. You lose all 4, the year's not over. You take all your non-conference games and you try to use those as learning experiences and stepping stones. Now, are we out to try and go undefeated? Of course we are. It's 1 game at a time. Everybody's goal is to win every single game. But we want to make sure that it's a progression as the year progresses to get better and hopefully be playing our best basketball come March.
Is this one of the more challenging schedules that you, from top to bottom?
From top to bottom, there's no question about it. We are going to be playing some very good basketball teams. We open up at UT Martin, NIT ball club. Come home and play Belmont, NCAA tournament, MTSU, NCAA tournament. And then we have a 3-game stretch here in our Hall of Fame Classic. Then we'll go up there on the 27th and play South Carolina on a neutral floor. Come back, you've got Maryland, Kentucky, Western, South Dakota State. Right there, 4 ball clubs that are very, very talented. So it's going to be a test for our kids, but that's what you want. We're going to find out where we are. Again, it's not going to define our season. But it's going to let us know where we are with some of the top teams in the country.
How much is, over the years, and you've talked a little bit before, the continuity of your staff, how much does that play into a factor in the success that you've had, that stuff's been with you the whole time?
Yeah. No, it's really, really important. I'm fortunate that if I've got to be on the road recruiting, I don't worry about things. Steph's been here for all 10 years. She knows exactly what I like, what we're trying to do. I think it speaks volumes not just for how we do things here as a women's basketball program, but how Tom Jurich runs this athletic department. I've never had an assistant go and take an assistant job someplace else. It's just it has not come about. When they leave here, they're leaving to go be head coaches. So when you can sit there and go into the homes of recruits and say, hey, look at the stability of our program, look at what we've done. And a lot of that is, our success on the court has come from the stability that we have as a coaching staff. Adrian Johnson's been a part of us for all 10 years. So I've got 2 people that work with our program that have been here with me for 10 seasons. You just don't find that very often.
Is there a bar that you've said that if this team doesn't reach that, then you see this as less than a successful season? Is that a conference tournament win, a
No.
spot in the NCAA tournament?
No, we don't look at it like that. As I go back and reflect on last year, which we do at the end of every season. When we're 1-4, if we had said that we'd finish, what did we finish last year? Okay, if you start 1-4, and then if I said we'd finish up the year 26-8, I'm not sure anybody would have believed me on that. So, do I think we had a successful year? Yeah, I do. Was I really proud of the kids? I sure was. Because we were at a a teetering point right there mid-December that it could have gone either way. And we figured out a way to fight and scrap and claw, and then got to Christmas break and were able to get in the gym and get some more practice time in for our freshmen, and we end up going 15-1 in the ACC. Now, was I pleased that we got beat in the second round of the NCAA tournament at home? No. So I was not pleased with our NCAA tournament run. But when you go back and look at the entire season, I thought we had a really good year. So for us, obviously our goal is to be a top 4 seed for sure. Hopefully have the chance to host the first and second round at home again, and then to advance past. I mean, that's getting beat in the second round is not something that we consider to be acceptable. It's quite amazing that when you go back and you look at 9 complete seasons, that we consider it, a little bit of a failure to not make the Sweet 16, when 9 years ago this program had never been to one. We're talking when I'm out getting something to eat with my family, my wife, and fans are coming up, and we have a great group of fans. We're very, very fortunate. They're wanting a national championship. They're wanting us to get back to a Final Four, which is our goal. But I think it's pretty amazing to think where this program has come in 10 seasons. To where when I first got the job here, it was, hey, how are we going to make a Sweet 16? Now, if we don't get to a Final Four, it seems like we failed, which is great because that's what you want. That's where you want your program to be.
I guess then to speak to the fans, is a Final Four a realistic goal?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we're shooting for. I'm really excited about our team. Are we head and shoulders above everybody else out there? No. I think there's about 8 to 10 teams right now that are going to be able to make a run. And I've said it all along. The great thing about the NCAA tournament is the best team does not always win. It's whoever's playing the best basketball at that time in the season. We did it in 2013. Syracuse did it last year. You get on a run and anything can happen. And that's why we talk about all the time, you can't judge a game in December, a game in November, and have that dictate your entire season. Because you want to make sure you're playing the best when it counts, and that's March and April. Anybody else? Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Very much appreciated. We're off. Now I should have ended, and we will defeat ISIS.